I'm gonna need you to open up your mind in this video. Keep an open mind and just keep listening to everything I tell you, because once you go through this whole video, not only will you realize that time, or not just realize, but you'll enter a world where time is eternal, infinite, and at the same time, you'll be able to get more done in 1 week than almost everybody gets done in 12 months, literally in 12 months. So if you look right here, this is actually a diagram. It's a figure from the book of Joe Dispenza, Becoming Supernatural. Sorry, Joe Dispenza, I'm gonna have to doctor, I'm gonna have to use your book for a little bit for this example. So he's basically saying his like there's two worlds that people live in. I'll just call it reality A and reality B. So reality A is the reality that states that there's space and time, which means space is eternal. So this is the reality that everybody lives in. This is the reality that people use their five senses in to navigate. So this is the Newtonian physics reality, which is reality A, which is the reality that everybody lives in, but it's not like the best reality, because what this reality states is that in order for you to go from one point to another point in the infinite space, then you're going to have to, in order for you to navigate through that, you'll have to be using time. So in order for me to go from here to do this, it'll take some time. So me doing this takes like 2 seconds, but like on a larger scale, it might take 2 hours, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Just listen. So this right here is how people usually live in the 3D world. But what if I told you right now there's actually an entire different realm where you're not living in the 3D world, but you're living in the 5D world. And in this world, it's not that you have infinite space, but you have infinite time. This is reality B. Reality B states that there is time, space, reality, which means the infinite time. Infinite time. But space doesn't matter. There is no space because you're basically living in the eternal time reality. What does this mean for you or me? It means that if you're able to basically switch from living into space time, which is reality A, to time space, which is reality B, for you to move from here to here would mean that not only are you gonna live in a world where things come to you instead of you going to them, and live in a world where there is like infinite time. There's like, you won't even feel the difference of time within this world. And also, you live like you have infinite time to the point that other people are going to be looking at you and they're going to be like, how is this person achieving so much than me, even though him and me, we have the same 24 hours in the day? Like, there are people your age that not only are they making more money than you, but they're getting married faster than you. They're getting the things that they want faster than you. And then if you were like 26, there's people that have achieved so much, and then you're just looking at your life and you're just like, wait, what the heck? How am I still living like I'm living right now? Like, I don't even have the beautiful house that I want. I don't even have the beautiful wife that I want. I'm just living like he has the same 24 hours as me. So how is he achieving way more than me? So Joe Dispenza is saying that space-time is the physical Newtonian world based on the knowns, the predictable. It basically means like in this world, if a plane was traveling from point A to point B, we'll know exactly how long the plane is going to take because we're basically using Newtonian physics to determine these things. So everything is based on the known, everything is based on the predictable, everything is based on matter. And we're using our five senses to navigate through this world. So for example, I look at this mic and I'm like, it's a mic. I look at my laptop and I'm like, it's a laptop. Like there's no other argument. It's just a laptop, it's just a mic. But if you look at the other side, there is time space. And time space is a non-physical quantum world, which is basically the inverse, where it's based on the unknowns, endless possibility, energy. This is where we talk about how if you want to know the secrets of the whole universe, think in terms of vibrations, frequencies, and energy. That's what Tesla was talking about. He was talking about this world right here, which is reality B. But you're going to be asking me, it's like, well, how is everybody still stuck in reality A when there's a whole world called reality B? And the reason they're stuck is because of this, which is stress. So I told you in the previous video, I was like, anytime something happens in your life and then you activate the fight or flight mode, then you basically activate all your five senses in like a very high state. So your vision is going to be high, your like when you touch is going to be high. So whenever you get stressed, you put all your awareness into the physical, into the world outside. You know what that means? That means that if you do the opposite, which is reduce the stress and then put all your awareness on the inside, not the outside, but the inside. When you start doing that, that's how you navigate from reality A to reality B. So the Newtonian 3D space-time reality, which is reality A, is living like you have a body, like you have things, like you're in a place somewhere, like you're in a time as well. This is what reality A is. So it's basically like you're living like this. So you're in the present and you realize there's a past and you realize there's a there's a future, and then you're just like, in order for you to go through the past, you'll have to be using time to go through the future, not the past. And then here is just when you're constantly just thinking of the past, or you're thinking of the future, and then you're just never present. So you're basically living in linear time. But in order for you to escape the world of reality A and go to reality B, a world where you can get so much done in a week compared to people how much they get done in 12 months. So what you do, Habibi, is that in order for you to move from this world to this world, from the 3D to the 5D, then you have to go through the door. You have to go through the door. And it's so funny, bro, because when I was reading this book right now, when I was reading this book, I couldn't help but think, I'm like, all these teachings, we were being taught these teachings way back then, 2,000, 1,000 years ago, which is insane. And nowadays we're having quantum physics come in and then confirm all these beautiful teachings that we've been taught in the past. So it says the material world is the Newtonian world, which is when you're conscious of that you have a body, that you're someone with an identity, with a job. You're like, I'm a pilot, or I'm a teacher, I'm this, I'm that. And you're like, I live in a house, I live somewhere, I live in on Friday, or I live in Sunday. Do you know what I mean? So it's basically based on all these things, the 3D world. So in order for you to go from the 3D world to the 5D world, then you have to go through this door. And then this door is where you become pure consciousness, where you basically become nothing. That's all it is. You become nothing. So in order for you to go from reality A to reality B, you have to first go through the door of being nothing. Now, what does being nothing mean? That's what all meditation is. It's when you sit down and close your eyes. You close your eyes because you don't want to have your eyes looking at the environment around you. So you close your eyes. Now there is no environment. But then in your mind, there's no you. So there's no Muhammad, there's no YouTuber, there's no whatever, there's no business owner, there's no such thing. And then there's no body. You don't think of your body. So the body is as if like it's not even here. You don't think of time. You don't think, oh, in a bit I'm gonna have to go to work, or in a bit it's gonna be 5 o'clock and I have to go take a nap and whatever. You don't think of time. And then you don't think of where. You just don't think of any of these things. So the five hows, you don't even think of the five hows. It's like you become literally nothing. And you becoming nothing, this is what it means to die before you die. Have you noticed people that are dead? They basically become pure consciousness because the body is gone, the mind is gone. There's nothing active here, so they just become pure consciousness. So in order for you to do that, you have to become nothing, and that's the beauty of it. So there's a meditation that I usually do throughout the day, where for 1 minute I not forget, but I put all my awareness into like just being pure consciousness. So I'm like, there's no more YouTuber, there's no more Muhammad. I'm not in that time. There's no time. There's no clock. There's no Friday, Sunday, Monday. There's none of that. And there's no the environment. It's just there's nothing. And the more you do that, the more it's like you basically put a gap into this world that you're living. And the bigger this gap gets, so the more you do it, the more you basically live like you're just living in reality B. So let me tell you how to do this and what are even the benefits of you living in reality B. So let me tell you what's basically going to happen. So this is what Joe Dispenza is saying. When we get beyond ourselves, we move from a narrow focus. So you know how when you get stressed, like when someone cuts you off the road, you take all your focus, all your attention, and your concentration and your awareness, and you just put it on this person that cut you off. And you just keep getting annoyed on this person that cut you off. But when you do the transition, you go from having a narrow focus to an open focus. You go from having your attention on objects, things, places, and people, to now you're just a wave. Just a wave. And this is where you go from matter to antimatter, where you go from the predictable to the unpredictable, where you go from a state of separation. Because if I'm standing here and I'm looking at the mic, me and the mic were separate in the 3D world. But then when you go to the 5D world, me and the mic are literally the same thing because we're made out of the same exact thing, the same exact single unit that makes us every other thing. And then this is where you go from limited possibilities to unlimited possibilities, where you go from the universe to the multiverse, which is so beautiful. This right here is the 5D world. This is where time is eternal. Time is eternal. Imagine how much more you can do when time is eternal. So if you look at all these squares right here, these squares are basically you in different dimensions. So this is right here, this is you in a whole different dimension. So this could be like the poor you, and this could be the rich you. But all are in the same time, you could say, because here time is eternal. So as we move through time, we experience different spaces or dimensions. And then if there is an infinite time, which in reality there is, then there is infinite space, we can fit in time, which means you can do everything, anything, which is endless possibilities, potential realities, experiences, dimensions, all that stuff. The transition that you're going to be doing is that you lose yourself in nothing. So you become nothing, and then once you become nothing, that's when you become everything. That's when you become everything. So that's when you become like everybody, like you become everything. So then when you go from being a somebody to a nobody, that's when you basically have access to everybody, and then from here you become anybody. So let me put it to you in simple terms. The whole idea is that right now, let's just say you're living as someone who's broke, right? You go through this process, and I'll tell you what the process is. You go through this process and you become nothing. You become nothing. Once you become nothing, that's when you have access to becoming everything. And then when you become everything, you pick who you want to become. That's when you become anything. Do you understand what I mean? You go from broke to now no one. Now you have access to becoming everyone. So you become someone who's rich. That's all it is. That's literally all it is. This is how you finish, like you basically get stuff done in 1 week compared to everybody that gets things done in like 12 weeks or whatever. This is how you beat time. This is how you move fast. This is how you go from being stuck somewhere to now you're doing literally anything and everything, which is so beautiful. Now, if you go through this whole book, Joe Dispenza, like the way he talked about it, is very nice because he actually added a lot of scientific terms and just scientific explanations, which is pretty good. It just shows you that this whole thing is not even just like pseudoscience. It's not things that are based on nothing. It's things that are based on beautiful things. But then how do you do this? Well, let me tell you in simple terms, especially if you are a Muslim, okay? So whenever you do the meditation that I teach, or not just me, I didn't really make up this meditation. It's just I learned it from a beautiful sheikh. And then through this sheikh, I started doing this meditation. And then I realized I'm like, everybody should be doing this meditation. So basically what you do is that you sit down and then you watch all your thoughts, right? Like close your eyes and then watch all your thoughts and then realize that you are not the one that's thinking, you are the one that's aware of the thinking. And then through this, you're going to become the nothing. That's when you become nothing, become nothing, become nothing. And then you're basically going to take all your attention away from the environment, away from the time, away from where you are, away from the body. And then you just become pure nothing, which means you're becoming the one that's aware of everything. That is the door to the 5D reality. So what's crazy is that Joe Dispenza actually explained it so beautifully, but he calls this being, this consciousness, Allah, he calls it the unified field. But then he says that this unified field is a self-organizing intelligence that is always observing the material world into order and form. And then the more you surrender to it, the more you become a Muslim to it, you move closer to it and become one with it, which means the less separation, the less lack, then the more wholeness and the more oneness you experience with this awareness that is Allah. And then this is when you begin to feel connected to everyone, everybody, everywhere, every time, even the future dreams. So the entire process is that when you're sitting in meditation and then you're just becoming nothing because you're being aware of what's happening in your mind, eventually what's going to happen is that you're going to start realizing that Allah is watching you. And now the more you keep realizing that Allah is watching you, and the more you put all your awareness on Allah, then the closer you get to Allah. And then you'll notice that Allah is always here. Like the mercy of Allah is always here. So then the more you become aware of that, the more it's like you get beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the feelings, and beyond the thoughts. And then through this is how you become pure energy. So what people say is that, like, this is literally what tasbih is. Because when you're doing tasbih, you're just thinking, not just saying, you're also thinking and being aware of the majesty of Allah. So what you're doing is that you're now at this point, you're not wanting anything, you're not asking for forgiveness, you're not doing anything except only thinking of the glory and the majesty of Allah, because it's always here, or thinking of the mercy of Allah. So the more it's like you're sitting in this meditation, and you're just thinking of Allah, how Allah is always here, how the light of Allah is always here, literally always here. So the more you put your awareness onto that, by default, Habibi, by default, that is when you start becoming almost like, I want to say one with it, but I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're doing shirk. But trust me when I say that this experience is so beautiful that you truly feel like you're becoming one. You're becoming one. And then at this point, it's almost like there is no more Muhammad. There is no more like the me or the ego. It doesn't exist. It's just now you're becoming literally one with Allah. And I don't care if you guys are going to be telling me, like, no, you're doing shirk. That's not shirk. It's an experience that once you do, you literally go from becoming a believer to now you become a knower. And becoming a knower, there's no one that can come and then tell you, like, oh, Islam is false or Allah is false. You can't, because it's like, bro, I know it. I experienced it. How can you come right now and tell me that it's false? Like, it's like, it's almost like when you die, and then you're like, wait, what the heck? The entire time Allah existed and He was here, and then all these things are true. It's like before you die, you go and you experience that. This is what like the know. This is who the knower of Allah is, and then you go and you read about all these beautiful people like Shams Tabrizi, like Rumi. A lot of these people that are considered Sufi, when you go and then you read their teachings, it's like, wait, their teachings are insane. But it's because they went to a place where now it's like they experience who Allah is. And then when you get a taste of this, you're just like, bro, what the heck? How was I living the entire time in the like how I was back in the day in the past? At this point, it's almost like you get a taste of something that no one has ever gotten a taste of. And then it's so hard to go back and you tell the people, because the people are just like, even the Muslims, the people that call themselves Muslims, they're like, no, 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 bro, like, forget about all that stuff. It's shirk. Don't even go on that stuff and just focus on your prayer and this and this and this and that. It's like, okay, bro. But when you get a taste of this and you come back into the real world, the 3D world, and then you do pray and you do talk to people, it's like you talk to them from a place where even they can feel you're coming from a different place. It's like, who are you, bro? It's like they talk to you and then they just feel like you're familiar. But it's not you that's familiar. It's because they're talking to you and there's like the light of Allah all within you. So they feel familiar because everybody knows who Allah is. Everybody has actually experienced this light of Allah at some point before they were born. I mean, think about it. Where were you before you were born? You were just with Allah, and then you came back down. So doing this whole experience is like you go back to Allah while still being in this world. That's why when someone dies, we're just like, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Like that's the only reason why we say that, because it's a reminder that we come from Allah and then we're going to go back to Allah, which is such a crazy experience. So now I'm saying this experience right here, which most people don't know about, by the way, like 90% of the people don't even know about. This experience is how you'll get into a world where time is eternal, infinite time. Because think about it. You're connecting your heart to Allah, the light of Allah, the mercy of Allah, the ocean of Allah. You're connecting your heart to Allah, which means by default, like God should be an infinite being, infinite time. There's no time, there's nothing, just infinity, pure infinity. So then when you go back to that, you'll feel like there's pure infinity. And this is what like the Isra and Mi'raj was. Muhammad when he went to Isra and Mi'raj, where he left the body and he just went all the way to the heavens, if someone was sitting down and they were looking at his body, like it didn't feel it like it took him an hour. It wasn't an hour. We don't know how long it took, but to him it felt like it was eternal because he was truly in the eternal realm. But then when you look at him, it's like it was probably like 5 minutes. I don't know, like 20 minutes. Like it didn't take him as much as like he knows that it took him. Like it in his mind, it took him a long time, or his mind. But it on the outside, it didn't take him that long. And it's because he went to a realm with infinite time. So this is what you do. Again, let me just tell it to you straight up. You sit down in meditation, and then you become aware that your thoughts and your mind and your feelings, all that stuff is not you. From this point, you become nothing. You become nothing. You become nothing. And then when you become nothing, and then you put your awareness on Allah, like Allah is always watching you, and you'll know it too. Like this is literally an experience, bro, an experience. So then when you realize that Allah is always watching, and you're always swimming in the mercy of Allah, the light of Allah is always shining on you, like the ocean of Allah is always here. When you keep putting that in your mind, then that's when you basically become connected to Allah. And then from that point, that's when you can basically become anything that you want when you come back into the real world. So then you'll notice also you doing this experience is going to give you an abundance of energy. So much energy, you'll feel like you're shivering. The fact that you shiver, by the way, it shows that there's so much energy being like coming into your body. And so people also say it's like when you go through this experience, it's like Allah's the greatest engineer of all time, obviously, right? So then this great intelligence, the most intelligent, the greatest engineer, is even going to transform your body as well. So even your body, it's like you'll start feeling healthier. You'll start doing things that are better for your life because now you're going to be living your life with a light that's different from this world. And Muhammad said is like, be careful of the light of the believer, or be careful of the gaze of the believer, the vision of the believer, because he can see with the light of Allah. There is an entire hadith that talks about that. Go search it up, bro. I'm not going to search it up for you right now, but an entire hadith that talks about that. So this is where that hadith where it says, like, when my servant come closer to me, that's when I become the eyes in which he sees with, the ears in which he hears with, the hands in which he touches with. That's where everything you touch turns into gold. That's where, because from this point, Habibi, you're living through the light of Allah. And then you living from the light of Allah, you can do anything. You can literally do anything. If you're trying to make money, and then you do it from the light of Allah, you can do it in the shortest amount of time possible. Shorter, like faster than most people would take them for years. You want to get something, you just do it like this, and then through the light of Allah is going to come to you. That's where the whole saying kun fayakun is true. I remember when I was reading that as a kid, I'm like, it's impossible. Kun fayakun is not possible. But it's because I was thinking from 3D reality, from the reality of only matter. But then I'm like, dang, bro, there's an entire reality called reality B, which is the 5D world. And then in this reality, time is infinite, and things just come from this like this being that's running literally everything. And it's like the more you surrender to this being, the more you become one with this being, and then the more when you act through reality A, you act from the light of this being, and then everything you touch becomes gold. Gold! Everything you touch becomes perfect. So anyway, bro, I know such videos, I'm gonna be getting a lot of people that comment, they're like, uh, bro, you're just talking about pure shirk and all that. I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know, like, when you go through this experience, you're like, why has this been hidden from me for so long? Like, it's such a beautiful experience, and I truly feel like you only get to experience this when you die. When you die, if you've lived a good life, then you'll experience this experience. But it's like, Habibi, you can literally go through this right now, and I'm pretty sure even your comments are gonna start being different when you go through this experience. The experience is just, think about it. If God is truly God, shouldn't just the act of simple awareness on this God transform your life? If God is truly God, it's like as soon as you become aware of it, it should transform your life. And that's what it is. That's literally what it is. Well, anyway, so I hope this whole video is helpful. Go read the book from Joe Dispenza. The book is actually crazy, bro. It's insane. It's literally insane. It truly makes you feel like becoming supernatural is natural.